Due to me not being the most efficient person lately, I started 2 embroidery projects for doll clothes. I have finished Anne Boleyn halfway. Her dress is nearly done, and she is rerouted and everything. I'm creating oversized flowers for my 40th birthday in September. I'm doing stuff, but I'm not finishing stuff. The guitar is halfway done. Everything is halfway done. But yeah, I'm not very efficient in finishing stuff lately. That's why you get a more chatty video today. So if that's not your cup of tea, goodbye, we will see us in another week. For everyone who still stays, I will introduce you to some dolls I have laying around. Some of them have significance for me, some of them are just dolls I want to work on at a specific time, someday in the future. But all of them, or neither of them, are Barbies or something like that, so I want you to decide with me if you would want to see me work on some of them in a video, or if it's just nothing you are interested in. So, let me first introduce you to the doll that won't change at all. She might only get cleaned a little bit. It's this one. She has a name, and her name is the same like my grandmother from my mother's side, Ellie Elzeana, because nearly or exactly this doll was sitting on the sofa of my granny's flat, and when I was little, we were visiting her over the summer holidays every year, and the one that was sitting there had one eye that was pushed in a little bit, so it wasn't winking anymore. And at one point I took her apart, repaired her, stitched her back together, and from that point on her eye wasn't winking anymore or blinking. And when my granny died, because my grandmother lived in another part of Germany, her flat was cleaned out without us having the option to get something to remember her by. And when I moved into my first flat, I first went on eBay because it was the first time I had internet. Yes, nearly impossible to think of a time when people didn't had internet 24/7. Anyway, and I went on eBay for the first time and put in porcelain doll, and the first doll that came up was her for €1.50. And afterwards I noticed she might have been a rather common doll at one point. But the cutest thing happened after I ordered her, or after I bid on her and won her. The owner reached out to me and told me, while packaging her, I noticed that one of her eyes isn't blinking anymore. Do you still want her? And then I told her the whole story with my grandmother, and the answer was quite cute. She told me that this doll was from, her grandmother as well, which had died recently, and she was quite happy that she will get into the hands of someone who appreciates her. So she is still one of my most beloved and most important dolls. Yeah. Oh yeah, and this brooch is from my other grandmother. I decided to combine the two. But yeah, she definitely needs a bit of dusting. Then, while we were talking about my other grandmother, I have a fairly large doll that my granny always had sitting on her bed. And There was a time, I think in the 60s or 70s, I'm not sure about it, when on fun fairs you could win dolls. Fairly cheap made ones, but they had an updo most of the time and very floofy dresses. I will put some pictures that I was able to find in here. But my granny did remove all of that, so she has a rather interesting hairstyle now. This is her. Obviously, she had to get the name of my grandmother from my father's side as well. She's Margaret. And I want to give her a wig with longer hair. I want to keep this underneath the original hair. And I want to give her a prettier dress. I know it's offensive against my grandmother that I call this not pretty, but I'm not a big person for crochet and knit clothing. And she gears. I have to look at the branding in a minute, but this underpart is more or less stable together, her underwear, and she could use some new elastics. Because she is, let's say, age did her all that well, but in the end, she's possibly older than I am, so I can imagine why she is getting a bit wonky. But I definitely want to give her a new dress and do something with her hair. Then, the next girl I have, another story time. My father was married before my parents met. And he had 2 children with his first wife. I never met my half-siblings. But the one thing I had from my half-sister was a doll. And I loved this doll to bits. Because me being a more feminine guy always had the issue with just having a bigger brother, and I always wished for a bigger sister. And yeah, this doll represented her for me. I talked to her when I had issues with being a bit more feminine, or with, yeah, a lot. But when my parents divorced and everything, and I was visiting my mother, my brother wanted to move upstairs into the attic where he lives now again. And for that he had to clean out everything. And they did that while I was away, and sad doll, that I called by the name of my sister, went into the landfill. And I think that was the most traumatizing doll loss for me, because, as I said, she replaced my half-sister that I never know, or have never known, for me a little bit. I called her by her name, Manuela, and yeah, one day on eBay I found a very similar one. The only difference between the two is that this girl has brown hair and my doll had blonde hair. And I want to give her blonde hair again. Maybe, yeah, highly possible the same length, because even though I know I can't replace a doll that I lost, I still want her to look as close to the original as possible. And then, as with the one of my grandmother, I want to give her a pretty dress, because this one is from another doll. It doesn't really fit her. And yeah, she does need a bit of cleaning and everything. But yeah, again, a doll that will only get new hair and a dress. When my neighbor died, oh gosh, 3-4 years ago, it's already, I think it's 4 years ago, gosh. she was a collector of dolls as well, but she mostly collected porcelain dolls and baby dolls and stuff like that. And most of them were handed over to me. A lot of them are not particular what I would want to collect. And a lot of them are rather nasty and dirty because my neighbor, she wasn't able to keep them clean anymore, and all of them were in an upstairs bedroom where she wasn't able to go anymore. She wasn't able to get up the stairs anymore. And she had 6 cats, so basically the cats destroyed most of the dolls. A lot of them are very, very disgusting. I can only use them for Halloween related stuff and things like that. But there are some, especially the porcelain ones, that need restringing, and some of them do need a bit of work. Some of them already had gotten some work. One that was the most important for me and will be the one that I will definitely keep is this girl. She is completely porcelain. She has joints, but she is very noisy. Her hair is a human hair wig, as are most of them, and she was the only doll that was still sitting down in the living room of my neighbor. And when I lifted her up, her whole head fell down because it was broken at one point, and my neighbor just put her head back on and let her sit there. So she must have had a special meaning to her. And that's why I glued her head back together and tried to cover up the breaks, and she even had some in her face, and cover them up with epoxy clay and a little bit of paint. But she can definitely get another hair wash, and she definitely needs a dress. Another one. This is one of the girls which has a porcelain head but a wooden body, and I restrung her already, but I did do that a little bit too firm. It was my first time restringing a doll, and yeah, her legs do whatever they want. They don't really keep the pose, but they like to get up and onto their own thing. She can get a new hairstyle and a dress as well. Otherwise, I think she is quite okay. She might be one of them that I will sell afterwards, because her little face is a little bit too much for me. And then, yeah, you saw her, how she looked restrung. Originally, she was like this. And here we have another girl. And I never cleaned her. I never started to work on her. She definitely needs to get a little bit of attention. As does she. She is basically just a head anymore with a body somewhere down, and I even nicked her hair for Annabelle. So she does need a lot of work as well. Those are the dolls I would like to work on in the near future, every now and then, doing one at a time. But yeah, as I said, I would like to know, would you be interested in seeing me work on those? Or would that be something where you say, absolutely not? Let me know in the comments down below. I hope you still did enjoy this bit of story time video. And we will see us in another one. Until then, bye.